Call Haloyamla Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai Bahasham Racha Kodash Brakatak Yahweh Brakatak Yahweh Shai Brakatak Racha Kodash Bahasham Yahweh Shai Bahasham Racha Kodash. Shalom to the elder apostles, great millstone. Shalom to the Akim Waqwathium of the elect, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians who make up the lost 12 tribes of Israel. Shalom. Just want to make a quick video. Going today is that folly day they call Christmas, which is not of the Messiah, but is of Satan. It's of Nimrod, which goes back to the ancient Babylonian Empire, headed by Nimrod, and yeah, so it's all about money. It's all commercialized. It's all about money. Got basketball games all day. What does that have to do with the Messiah? What does that have to do with righteousness? It's all of Satan. But yeah, so Jeremiah chapter 10, verses 1, and read on down a couple verses. It says, "Hear ye the word which the Lord Yahweh speaketh to you, O house of Israel." Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, nor be dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. Verse 3, for the customs of the people are vain, for one cutteth the tree out of the forest, the work of the workman, the work of the hands of the workman with the axe. So right here I want to pause. And so we know the customs of this Christmas holiday. The people, what they do, they go out. Those that are really into it, they go to these places where they sell trees, or they go out and actually chop the tree down, want to get the full experience, of this day, be in the full spirit of it. Chop down the tree, take it, shake it down, for any bugs, and then tie it down to their vehicle, and they take it home. And when they get home, they do this. Verse 4, they deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers, that it move not. They are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. They must needs be born, meaning they needs are created by people. That it needs, the tree is a dead tree. It can't do anything. So people create its needs, create the story. They must needs be born, because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil, neither also is it in them to do good. So verse 6, for as much as there is none like unto thee, O Lord Yahweh, thou art great, and thy name is great in might. So that's that on that for this particular lesson here. So the customs of Christmas goes back before so-called white race, goes back all the way to the beginning of the heathen. The top heathen of the time was Nimrod, and from Nimrod, Semiramis and Cush, all of these false pagan satanic holidays and religions come from Nimrod. Back at the Tower of Babel, all of the heathen were all one people at that time. They all learned what's called the mystery Babylonian school religions. And all the heathen, when the Lord mixed up their languages at the Tower of Babel, all of them had learned all of this mystery religion from Nimrod under Satan. And they all took forms and versions of this religion into their nations. So it's different forms and versions of the Nimrod Babylonian religions, through the Egyptians and the East Indians and the Asians, all of these different and the Persians, today the Iranians. So all of these religions come from Nimrod on the left-hand side. And so December 25th is merely just is the birthday of Nimrod. And we'll go into here in a bit. Real quick, we'll read Proverbs chapter 3, verses 31. So it's right here. It says, envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways. So all of the lost 12 tribes today, the Israelites, so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, are all aspiring, and they love and they're taking on the ways of the oppressor, and choosing all of his ways, living as Babylonian citizens, the modern day Greco-Roman Empire. So the Lord say, choose none of their ways. And so from there, we'll go ahead and read the story of the of the Christmas, the origins of Christmas. So here in this article, the true meaning of Christmas, Nimrod, the Lord of Xmas. So this is a lot of gibberish going down here by the article writer. So we'll start here. Just read this quote from Louis Farrakhan, the leader of the Islamic Muslim religion here in America on the Western Hemisphere. He says, Nimrod is who you are really celebrating on the 25th day of December. You're not celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ, which is not his name, is Yahweh Shah HaMashiach. And if you are making a mockery of it. First and foremost, Islam is a mockery and a direct plagiarism of the Bible, and taking away and adding on to it, which they will receive the plagues written thereof, for adding to the holy scriptures of the Most High. And Minister Louis Farrakhan, he's wicked as hell himself, but over here in the Americas, how come the Muslims over here in America is completely opposite from the Far East Arab Muslims over there? The Far East Muslims, they have a little bit of the spirit of the Bible, because they have full beards, they cover, they wear those garments, they have the women conservative covered up, and they don't eat swine. That's about as far as the extent of the semblance of the true purity of the Holy Scriptures or the commandments that they try to practice. But they stole it, and they read the Quran, and in their own Quran, it mentions that the children of Israel are the children of the Most High, and not them. So it's all kind of falsehoods with that religion. But over here, the Western Hemisphere Muslims, headed by Farrakhan, why they have shaved faces, bald faces. The scripture, the law say, make not thy head bald, nor mar the corners of thy beard. And then why they wearing suits with bow ties? That's not biblical. That's not biblical attire. That's not the Israelite attire. So there's two different religions. It's the same religion over there, the Islamic Muslim religion that they claiming, but two different versions. It's the white man, so-called white man approved version. Over here is pure foolishness. And then also Farrakhan, about 4 years ago, is on record on video saying he know that he's going to suffer for because what he's been teaching. He know he's been teaching a lie. So he know he a false prophet. He even admitted on camera saying that he's teaching a lie. So just wanted to cut that real quick, but sidebar on that real quick. But so the story here, the real origin of Christmas goes back to ancient Babylon. The name Nimrod is Hebrew and derives from Marad, meaning he rebelled. Or when you go in the Blue Letter Bible, for Nimrod says rebellion. So he's complete opposite, contrary to the Holy Scriptures. And now today, Esau, Edom, so-called white man, is in the spirit of Nimrod, under Satan, the serpent from the garden. And I didn't write nothing. I did a video, a few videos back, John 8:44, the father of the devil. You are of your father the devil, breaking down John 8:44, and clearly Esau, Edom is in the spirit, is in the stead of the modern day. This is Babylon the Great, modern day Nimrod, modern day Pharaoh, in Egypt. So continuing on, December 25th was the birthday of Nimrod. They celebrated this famous birthday over most of the known world for centuries before the birth of Christ, which is not his name, Messiah, Mashiach, Messiah, the Messiah. December 25th was highly honored and recognized by Nimrod's supporters. Many centuries later, it was Christianized as being the birthday of Jesus Christ. Nimrod was the founder of a religious system that began in ancient Babylon and has always opposed God. The Bible states that Nimrod was a mighty hunter before the Lord and began to be mighty in the earth. Biblical traditions associating Nimrod with the Tower of Babel led to his reputation as a king who was rebellious against God. This heaven-defying group of people wanted one government to rule the world and one religion to sway the hearts of mankind. And what does this sound like? Sound like what's going on today. Nothing new under the sun. So-called white man Esau Edom is now in the stead of the wickedness of Nimrod and under Satan, trying to make the one world government now, the new world order they always talking about. And that's why they're trying to make this global citizen, digital global citizen, and make it a whole one world government again, trying to resurrect the old Tower of Babel, but digitally, cyber, through the cyber world of the internet, and make everybody one with this new system they're trying to usher in with everything going on. But I won't dive too much into that. They might try to take the video down if you go too much into it. So continuing on, biblical traditions associating Nimrod with the Tower of Babel led to his reputation as a king who was rebellious against God. The heaven-defying group of people wanted one government to rule the world and one religion to sway the hearts of mankind. This was Nimrod's attempt to defy God and his authority, and the ringleader of his scheme was Nimrod. Nimrod had a plan to weld together and strengthen his evil religious system, and that's what's known as the Babylonian mystery school religion. And so he married his own mother, who was Semiramis. She was the first deified queen of Babylon, and that's the queen of heaven you read about in the Bible. The Semiramis, the mother/wife of Nimrod, and that filthy incest. She was the first deified queen of Babylon, and Nimrod was the first deified king. Semiramis was as wicked as her son Nimrod. Incest was used here as a basis to unite this newly false religious system. This false system had its sacrificial plan, just as God had a plan of sacrifice. But pagan worship required the offering up of human beings, which was often the sons and daughters of the worshipers. So this goes into them passing, and the scripture speaks about us passing our children through the fire to Molech or to Tammuz. And that's what's going on and continue today. In the elites of today, that's why you have so many children that come up missing. They always sacrificing these children unto Molech or Tammuz, which goes back to ancient Babylon, Nimrod, Semiramis, and the son Tammuz, which they say is Nimrod resurrected through Tammuz. Pure foolishness. But a counterfeit holy day was instituted in honor of the sun god as Baal. Sunday, that's Nimrod. He's also known as Baal, the sun god. After Nimrod's death, his so-called wife, Semiramis, propagated the doctrine of the survival of Nimrod as a spirit being. She claimed a full-grown evergreen tree sprang overnight from a dead tree stump, which symbolized the springing forth unto new life of the dead Nimrod. On each anniversary of his birth, she claimed, Nimrod would visit the evergreen tree and leave gifts upon it. Traditionally, a Yule log was burned in the fireplace on Christmas Eve, and during the night, as the log's embers died, there appeared in the room, as if by magic, a Christmas tree surrounded by gifts. The Yule log represented the sun god Nimrod, and the Christmas tree represented himself, resurrected as his own son Tammuz. So our Christmas tree and our Yule log have tremendous meaning. The Yule log is the dead Nimrod, human ruler of ancient Babylon, who was eventually deified as the Son incarnate, and hence a god. The Christmas tree is mystical Tammuz, the slain god come to life again. This is the true origin of the Christmas character we know as Santa Claus, who brings gifts underneath an evergreen tree every year on December 25th, which is very similar to the ruler Nimrod and his son Tammuz. Nimrod, the sun god reborn. December 25th was the birthday of Nimrod, and here we have the real origin of the Christmas tree. So, that's the story of Christmas, basically. And there's different variations of it. One of it is Semiramis, once Nimrod died, said that his spirit went up to the sun, and that's how they get the whole Nimrod Baal sun god theme. And then they say that the sun rays shined upon Semiramis and impregnated her when she actually had slept with somebody else, but said that the sun rays had impregnated her from Baal, who was Nimrod, and got her pregnant. And then when she had the child, said Tammuz was Nimrod reincarnated. Pure foolishness. And then they sacrifice, children unto Tammuz. And that's also that weeping for Tammuz. Also, the Queen of Heaven was spoken of in Ezekiel. And then also the women weeping for Tammuz. So it was just the ancient Babylonian Hamite, wicked false religions influencing the Israelites once we came into the Holy Land, once we came into the Promised Land and got established by the Lord, Ezekiel 16. And then we, over time, got influenced by the Babylonian mystery religions and started celebrating it. That's what made us fall. And then so that's pretty much it on that. And then so we'll just wrap up with another verse going into proving further the Messiah was not born December 25th. And we'll read here in Luke chapter 2, verse 1, and read a few verses down. So when it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus. Caesar Augustus was the Roman, emperor at that time, that all the world should be taxed, tax season. And this taxing was first made when Cyrenius was governor of Syria, and all went to be taxed, every one into his own city. And Joseph also went up from Galilee. Joseph was the Messiah, Yahushua's father, biological father. That's a whole other topic, but that's who he is. That's who this is right here. Out of the city of Nazareth into Judea, into the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and lineage of David. So right there, sidebar, this is a verse that proves that Joseph was the father of Yahushua, the Messiah, because right here, proving that Joseph was, because he was of the house and lineage of David. And we know that the Messiah, Yahushua, was going to come through the bloodline and lineage of David. The only way is through Joseph being, laying with Mary, and she conceived through Joseph, seed, because Joseph was of the seed of David, and the prophecy spoke of the Messiah coming through the bloodline of David. If Joseph did not, then it would make the prophecy null and void, and we know the word of the Lord is perfect and true. And then that's contradicting the story of the Most High, is blaspheming the word, because Mary, the seed is of the man, is not of the woman. The woman she receives the seed from the man, which is the sperm, which is the seed. Women don't have a lineage. They come through the lineage of a man, and the man. That's why it's important to understand these key concepts. So verse 5, to be taxed with Mary, his espoused wife. And that right there too, how can you be engaged and not be married, but then that is your wife, which is you married? That's a oxymoron. Espoused means engaged. Wife means married. How can you be engaged and married at the same time? That makes no sense. That's because sex is marriage. The biblical definition of sex is marriage. So you can't be engaged and married at the same time. You can't be engaged to your husband. That doesn't make any sense. So verse 6, And so right here, okay, so verse 6, and so it was that while they were there, the days were accomplished that she should be delivered. So we'll stop right there. The point is here as in verse 1, really, it says that all the world should be taxed. So we know tax season is during the springtime. When our tax is filed here in the modern day Greco-Roman Empire, during tax season, it's too cold. Tax season is not in the dead of winter. It's during the springtime. And December 25th is in the dead of winter. And so, let's read right here, verse 7. And she brought forth her firstborn son and wrapped him in swaddling clothes and laid him in a manger because there was no room for them in the inn. Oh, that's key as well. It's way too cold to lay a baby, infant, a newborn baby in a manger out in the open in the cold. If it was December 25th, it's the Far East winters were way too harsh and way too cold. That child wouldn't have, it was way too cold for a baby to be laying up in a manger. That was in the springtime when it was, the temperature was bearable. So, also the Messiah never celebrated his birthday. That goes into pagan, self-idolizing, self-worshiping day. Birthday, celebrating and self-worshiping yourself, which is of Satan and which is of Babylonian citizens. So, so that about does it right there. I hope that this was edifying. The water to the Holy Spirit, the Ruach Kodash, by Hashem Yahushai for the Spirit. To make this video, until the next video, I say, Shalom.